Hey everyone, and welcome to another segment of 5 Minutes With. I'm your host, Natalie Bencivenga, and I am so excited to have with me a very special guest today. Her name is Bhavini Patel, and she is the CEO and co-founder of Beamdata, which is a company operating at the intersection between social issues and data. She was also the founder of Be the Change, which is the only app connecting Pennsylvanians to their PA General Assembly members to provide legislative feedback. No grass is growing under her feet. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here today.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. So let's talk a little bit about Beamdata. How did this start?
So Beamdata was a company that I founded with one of my college close friends because we just noticed that there was a lack of representation when it came to data. Especially when it comes to policy making and how decisions are made, there was a sort of gap that we noticed. And so we took on a few different kind of projects, and one thing led to another, and it became a full-fledged company. But one of the specific projects we worked on was the 2020 census and doing some outreach work with that. And it really kind of opened up my eyes to the need for integrating data in terms of how we approach policymaking and how we invite others to the policy table.
Was this your background or did this just like come to you one day?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So no, I mean, I don't have a data background, but I definitely do have a background in, working in community, thinking about policy, thinking about different social issues, have done quite a few different projects with nonprofits and have done a lot of research work. I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh, I've had funded research projects there, and then also got my master's in the UK from Oxford and did quite a bit of research there too. And I could have done a lot of different things with that, but wanted to build something of my own and kind of contribute a unique perspective. And I think that Beam Data allows me to do that.
So how did Beamdata came Be the Change? So can you talk a little bit about the evolution of that and the importance of this app?
Yes, so that's a great question. So Be the Change is one of our products that we've created from Beam Data. And basically, so Be the Change is the only app that connects Pennsylvanians to their Pennsylvania General Assembly members. And the goal basically here is that our General Assembly member, there's a lot of information that's being passed through the Pennsylvania State Legislature, laws that directly impact our lives. And I think that there needs to be a better way of communicating with our legislators that truly reflects what's happening on the ground. And this was important pre-COVID, but I think COVID really amplified the necessity for this because it's quite difficult for our elected officials to be in the community and have face-to-face conversations in this environment. And I think that moving forward, one of the things that we're going to take away is adopting digital tools. One thing that I also want to mention is that last year, Pennsylvania enacted around, I think, 140 laws, and only 27 of them addressed COVID-19. And at that point, we kind of had an understanding of what was happening. And so it's really important, I think, for us to have better access to how legislation is passing through the legislature, the system and process, so that we can give our input and be better informed citizens and better informed voters. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do with Be the Change. That's what the app does. So you can check it out.
Yeah, that's amazing. Where can people access this app?
So we have a web platform. You can access it at changeourstate.com. It's free. It's nonpartisan. So anybody in Pennsylvania can create an account and dialogue with their legislators. As long as their legislators have onboarded with us, you will get a response from them. And that's the commitment that they make whenever they decide to work with us. It's also on the iOS App Store for free. So you can Google Be the Change app and you'll find it there.
What I love about this in particular is it's really lending itself to a space of transparency and communication. Was that the intention behind this product?
Absolutely. Transparency, accountability, education, there's a lot of things that are not taught in school. And I'm kind of embarrassed to admit, like, I didn't really know the structure of state government. A lot of attention is oftentimes given to federal government, but like Pennsylvania is a full-time legislature. We're one of the most expensive legislatures in the country, with 50 state senators, 203 House of Representatives members. Like, that's massive, and that's affecting us. Like, we need to know what's happening.
That's absolutely a great point. But it wasn't enough for you to just sort of stay on the sidelines and talk about these issues from a data perspective. You've decided to really get engaged yourself, and you're running for the Edgewood Borough Council. Can you talk a little bit about your decision to run? Why did you want to do this?
Yeah, so it's funny. So I actually, this is my second time running. I ran for Allegheny County Council in District 8 during a special election.
Mhm.
It's that sort of experience of knocking on doors and being on the ground that inspired the idea for Be the Change. Didn't win that race, but built Be the Change and did this sort of rodeo. And I don't know, I kind of missed it. Like I think I thrive on interacting with people and having conversations, and I think that so much of the work that I do with Be the Change is informed by what's happening on the ground. And I think that the closest way that I can stay connected to that work is by serving in my community and really like getting a sense of what's happening and how people feel about different policy issues so that we can build a better product, we can deliver a better service.
Yeah, and when it comes to running, why do you think it's important that women, people of color, other minorities in our communities stand up and say it's time for us to have more representation? Why is that important to you?
I think at a fundamental level, representation is important, right? Like everybody has different lived experiences. The way that I grew up, my mom is from India. I have an immigrant background. I was born in the US, but the sort of struggles that she went through, that's a lot of knowledge, right? Like that's a lived experience that many people in this country are having. And so unless you've kind of gone through it, you're not really going to know how to shape policies around it. And I think that if you have something unique to say, if you have a unique lived experience and you sort of enjoy policy, enjoy interacting with people, then you should pursue that goal. And that it's a call to service in a sense. If that excites you, then you should stake out your seat at that table. I think that's important.
I agree completely. And when you were saying that, I started thinking about this idea of the diversity is really what is our strength, right? Because having these different experiences really lends itself to a much better understanding of what people are facing. So, in your experience and in your opinion, do you think though that representation equals liberation? And what does that mean to you?
That's
Liberation.
a great question. And so I want to go a step further what you said. I think representation also makes us a healthier democracy.
Mhm.
It strengthens us internally so that whenever we reach moments of where, we have disagreement, like we can come through and on the other side and come together.
Mhm.
And so does representation mean liberation? I don't think so. I mean, I think liberation is a constant goal that we strive towards.
Mhm.
And the reason is that because I think that liberation means something different in a given time moment. Things are constantly changing, experiences are constantly changing. We're seeing new things come into the world. And so liberation, it means something different to someone. And whenever they decide to stand up and voice their opinions and kind of talk about this policy gap, they're working towards their variation of what liberation means. And then that's a new standard and it's a new goal that we set for ourselves. And that to me is the beauty of democracy.
I couldn't agree more. I really appreciate you taking a little bit more than 5 minutes with me, and I look forward to seeing your journey as you move forward. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.